We are tracking storms in St. Louis right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning going through St. Louis right now. Thanks for joining me on this Friday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. And before we get started here, I want to show you the radar zoomed out for the eastern Missouri area. And I think I can hear my audio. Let me just make sure that my audio is good. Okay, it sounds good, so we should be able to get going here. Let's zoom in to St. Louis, where we now have a significant severe thunderstorm warning for Chesterfield, Florissant, I hope I'm saying that correctly, and the northern side of St. Louis. So let's get some more information on this storm. In the meantime, tell me where you all are watching from. Are you watching from the St. Louis area? Or maybe you're in an area that's going to get hit later on today. Holy moly. This severe thunderstorm warning is officially warned for 2.5-inch hailstones. That is tennis ball size hail. This severe thunderstorm warning is warned for tennis ball size hailstones and 60-mile-per-hour wind speed. Over 1 million people are impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see what some of the previous local storm reports, hail reports that we've gotten are. Highlighted here in these circles that look like hail falling. These are your local storm reports. We have seen $half size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind reported in Cottleville. Going down to the south a little bit here into Chesterfield, golf ball size hail has been reported. So we've already seen some large hailstones coming from this storm right here. Right here is the St. Louis radar. So that's why there's a radar hole. This radar looks a little funky around here because it's very difficult to detect storms so close to the radar. That's why your local storm reports are so important. You guys send us your reports. If you see large hail in your area, send them our way. Again, we have a significant severe thunderstorm warning for tennis ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts from O'Fallon to St. Charles, St. Louis, and St. Peters. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 2:45, so we've got another 13 minutes left on this. However, I expect this to be extended after 2:45. I do not think that we're going to stop at just 2:45. I do expect this storm to be extended here, or this severe thunderstorm warning to be extended. Let's get some information from the National Weather Service. Let me pull my laptop just a little bit closer so that you can see me over here. The National Weather Service says that this severe thunderstorm is moving to the east at 45 miles an hour. Tennis ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are the biggest hazards here. And they're encouraging you to move to the indoors. Do not stay outdoors while tennis balls are falling from the sky. That is very, very dangerous. Actually, the exact wording from the National Weather Service here is people and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, sidings, windows, and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. That is the exact wording from the National Weather Service. So this is just one severe thunderstorm warning that we have across Missouri right now. Actually, we saw a pretty significant outbreak just to the east of Springfield earlier by about an hour and a half ago. We saw these severe thunderstorm warnings. They went up and they were very significant just right off the bat, producing to 4-inch size hailstones. Holy moly, that is larger than a softball. And then, of course, we saw those storms come through St. Louis as well, and that is currently what's happening. Brand new update for St. Louis, tornado warning. Zooming right into the city here to get you some information on this tornado warning. Now, this is what makes it so difficult to have a radar this close to the city, because whenever we have these rotating storms, you can't tell exactly what's going on over here. You need to be a little bit farther from the radar. So I want some more information on this warning. I want to know if the National Weather Service has gotten, okay, not a ton of information on this warning. They issued it seems very quickly, but we'll see if we can get more information here in just a minute. So I wonder if they got an actual report from the ground or if this is radar indicated. I'm very interested to get more information from the National Weather Service. But I will give you the information that I have now. This tornado warning goes until 3:15. Remember whenever I said I think that the severe risk will be extended longer than 2:45? Here we go, 3:15. Edwardsville, Florissant, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Spanish Lake and St. Louis, about 1 million people impacted by this tornado warning. And getting some information from the National Weather Service here, they are saying it's radar indicated, so there are no reports at the ground right now. Now, I see a lot of people jumping on, telling me where they're watching from right now. We've got some Oklahoma City on here. I'm sure we've got a lot of St. Louis on here as well. I see a lot of people jumping on via Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So thanks for jumping on today. You know, while St. Louis is getting their severe weather right now, Oklahoma, we're next. We have severe storms expected Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Yes, every single day. But let's get back to those Missouri storms now. Let's see, do we have any new local storm reports? We do. So let's get into our hail sizes here. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning was warned for 2.5-inch hail sizes. So that's the size of a tennis ball. Right now we're seeing reports of quarter-size hail. And if we can turn on some other products here, let's turn on our correlation coefficient. Zoom right down into the heaviest of the storm location. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the warnings off, okay, so I can see exactly what we're watching for. So the warnings are going off just for a minute. What we're watching for large hail is going to be these greens and these yellows mixing in here. So we want those lighter colors for those larger hailstones. Overland, that is where we're seeing the largest hailstones right now, right into Overland. Let's zoom down. Oh yeah, right there. Maryland Heights into Overland, St. Louis, that is where we're seeing the largest hailstones right now. You could even go down into University City as this kind of moves off to the east here. And again, what we were getting from the National Weather Service earlier is that it was moving to the east. I think it was 40 miles an hour, is that correct? 45 miles an hour, moving straight east. And yes, it is still warned for 2.5-inch hail sizes, which is tennis ball size hail. 1.2 million people inside of this warning polygon. Now that's the severe thunderstorm warning. There's about 1 million people inside of the tornado warning. So zooming out here, you can see exactly where that severe thunderstorm warning is, highlighted here in yellow with these black lines going through the warning. What does that mean? That means that we have a significant severe thunderstorm warning on our hands here. That means that we are seeing something out of the ordinary, right? And I can actually show you exactly what that means as we wait for your questions and your comments to come in, and as we wait for more local storm reports. We have a difference between just a baseline severe thunderstorm warning, right? Baseline severe thunderstorm warning, 58-mile-per-hour wind speeds, and quarter-size hail. Most likely will be impactful to your day. However, most likely will not do too many impacts on your property. However, once we get into that considerable category, that's where we are right now. We've got 2.5-inch hail sizes right now in that severe thunderstorm warning. That is whenever we start to say, okay, this is significant. This could do some significant impact to your property and cause potential hazard to life. Now you get into that destructive tag, that's whenever we have 80-mile-per-hour wind speeds or baseball-size hail, and that will trigger a WEA, wireless emergency alert. It's that sound on your phone that sounds like an Amber Alert. It'll go off like an Amber Alert, okay? So there are 3 different types of severe thunderstorm warnings that we could have, and we are right in the middle right now for St. Louis. We're talking about that large hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. Okay, so that's why they have this these black lines that are going across the warning, and we can zoom down so you can see those black lines going across the warning. We have a brand new local storm report here, brand new local storm report. That is near the Chesterfield area. This is quarter-size hail in Chesterfield. So that was reported at 2:29. And I wonder if this is any bigger. Right along the highway here, there we go, 2-incher in St. Louis. So that's the size of a hen egg, right around the size of a lime. Larger than the size of a golf ball, smaller than tennis ball size, 2-inch size hail right there in Harvester City. That was at 2:25. So what did I say earlier, the Maryland Heights area? That was where we were going to get large hail according to the radar, but let's rewind this radar a little bit. All right, this is exactly what I wanted to see. If we rewind that radar a little bit to when that local storm report was reported, when that happened, you can see that the hail core right here producing 2-inch size hail then tracked straight to the east. So then if we go back to present time, go forward, go forward, go forward, that hail core is essentially sitting just to the south of Florissant right now, Ferguson, and Maryland Heights. So we talked about Maryland Heights earlier. So I would say right in this area would be the largest hail currently, from University City up to the Ferguson area. And again, 2-inch size hail sizes, 2-inch size hailstones have already been reported. And we do have a pretty decent tornado signature on the radar right now as this storm gets farther and farther away from the radar. We're getting more information on this storm. Let's take a look at our storm relative velocity. Oh, yeah. No wonder they have warned this. Just to the south of University City, there is your rotation right here. There's your rotation outside of Clayton, south of University City, headed right into the center of the city right now, moving to the east at 45 miles an hour. New update, new information, moving to the east at 50 miles an hour. Not going to make too much of not going to make too much of a difference here. However, just something to note. And if we really zoom down, let's get some streets on here. So here's where we expect that tornado to be, right here near Forest Parkway, tracking to the east, approaching or right along Lindell Boulevard, headed right into the center of the city. Let's get correlation coefficient on here. It's a little messy. It's not exactly what I'd like to see. Let me see if I can pull up radar scope and get a different view, because sometimes if we look on the app, we get a little bit of a different view. Wow. This storm is quite impressive. Yeah, I would say that this thing is on the ground near Richmond Heights. Let's see if we can get any more information. I am getting hail trace alerts right now. Large hail for Weldon Springs, Missouri, Maryland Heights, Missouri. Our meteorologist team is watching it and they're saying, not good. Right in the center of the city. Warned for tennis ball size hail, yep. So they're seeing the exact same thing that we're seeing, which means that they're also mapping this storm as we are covering it live. So you get not only the live version right here, where do we think that storm is, but the Met team will go in and they'll do row by row, intersection by intersection, where they think that tornado touched down at. Again, this is moving to the east about 50 miles an hour. So if we put a storm track on this, and as I go back to reflectivity, oh yeah, you can see the exact location that you think that tornado is. It's classic. It's a textbook tornado signature right here. Now, did they cancel the severe? No, they did not. So they have removed the severe thunderstorm warning. So a little update on what the National Weather Service has done. They have removed the severe thunderstorm warning, and they have now turned this tornado warning into a significant tornado warning, which means I'm assuming they've confirmed this tornado. Yes, they have. Okay. They have radar confirmed this tornado, just like what we saw earlier. We looked at correlation coefficient. We said it's on the ground. National Weather Service has done the same thing. They have said this is on the ground. They have confirmed, radar confirmed this tornado. You can see what I would assume the debris ball right there. And they have now put this in a particularly dangerous situation, PDS, tornado warning. They are saying, and let me get you the exact wording from the National Weather Service. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now. The biggest hazard here is a damaging tornado. They have confirmed this tornado via the radar, just like we did. You watched this live on air. The impacts from the National Weather Service. You are in a life-threatening situation. Flying debris may be deadly to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be destroyed. Considerable damage to homes, businesses, and vehicles is likely, and complete destruction is possible. Again, that is coming from the National Weather Service. And this tornado warning continues to go until 3:15. We've got another 30 minutes on it. And the location, the most dangerous location right here, is on the west side of St. Louis. Let's zoom down into the city itself. Switching to storm relative velocity, what we don't want to see in this type of situation is that gate-to-gate rotation, those reds touching the greens, and that is exactly what we're seeing right now. We are seeing this tornado unfold in front of us just to the north of Tower Grove, right along I-64 and right to the south of 340. This is tracking to the east about 50 miles an hour, so it's going to take this eastward track right here into Highway 70. I think this is Highway 70 right here, and then continue to track to the east. Let's see if we've got any new information. And do we have any questions? You know what I can do? Actually, I will keep this up on the screen right behind me, and I'm going to look at St. Louis traffic cameras. And I'm going to see if we can get a live view of this, because we are in the city, right? We are approaching downtown St. Louis, or just to the north of downtown. So let's see if we can get St. Louis traffic cameras. All right. Okay. Now, instead of finding the best camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my screen so that you still have the radar up in front of you, but you can also see my view of the St. Louis traffic cameras. So give me just a minute. And we will do this. We will switch. There we go. Now I think, and I can't see exactly what you all are seeing, however, I think that you can see the map right here. Yes, okay. So what this tells us, and we already knew this, we knew that this tornado was on the ground, right? But what this tells us is that we are seeing significant traffic backups. You can see that highlighted there in red. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that means that traffic is stopped and out of the way. Other times that means that there is something in the road where they cannot get by. What we're seeing right now is a lot of rain. We're not seeing exact rotation. Sometimes we can't see it this close. So let's just keep going through some cameras here. All right, lots of people stopped on the roadway. So you can see this in the far left-hand corner of your screen. People have pulled over. Oftentimes we know that people know that there is a dangerous situation going on whenever they start flashing their hazards as well. So we're trying to get as much information as we can from being not actually in St. Louis, right? Oops, okay, let's go back. Okay, let's go back to your cameras. Get more information here. Let's go all the way out here and see if we can get a sky shot. A lot of people on YouTube right now giving us some cities to be watching out for, and we appreciate that. I can go back to the radar here in just a minute and answer some of these questions, but I do see some people popping up saying Granite City, Pocahontas are in the potential path. And you know, while I wait for these cameras to load, because it just looks like we're not going to have too much luck with this at this moment, and there may just be just too many people on the site right here. Let's go back to the radar. Let's zoom out. And let's get an additional look. So a lot of people are asking about different cities, right? Okay, so we're talking about St. Louis, but yes, there's a lot of different cities that are encompassed here, right? Granite City is where that tornado is right now. It's not looking as good as it did earlier. It's not looking as organized, but it still looks very significant. What you're looking at here is you're seeing the inflow right here, and then that rotation right here. It has a debris ball associated with it, and once I turn on correlation coefficient, you're going to see that highlighted in blue. What this means is that the tornado is on the ground and it is lofting debris into the air. Granite City is where we're seeing that tornado loft debris into the air right now. Going back to storm relative velocity, which shows the winds and the speed, the strength of the winds, and the direction. And what we never want to see for human safety, what we never want to see are those greens and those reds touching each other, making gate-to-gate rotation. That is exactly what we're seeing right now. So we're seeing significant rotation from this. This tornado is most likely still on the ground. A reminder here that the National Weather Service has called this a particularly dangerous situation, and they are warning people to please take cover if you are included in this red polygon whatsoever. Spanish Lake, Collinsville, Edwardsville, and give me just a minute and we'll put a track and we'll get some more cities on here as well. And it looks like, yeah, we are not getting cameras out of St. Louis right now. Let's see if we can go to the north a little bit. Alrighty. All right, so many people asking, when will it pass by Caseyville, Granite City, Pocahontas? Let's put a track on this storm and let's see if we can get more cities on here and the exact timing of each city. Alrighty, here we go. There's your track. Again, earlier we told you that this was moving. Here we go. To the east at 50 miles an hour. So we are going to make a straight eastward movement. We're going to go a little bit farther than 50 miles an hour to give people in the track just a little bit more time. So what we're probably seeing is still some large hail in this storm. So if you don't get the tornado, you will get large hail as well. A heavy downpour as well. It's probably very, very loud in this area also. It's going to parallel I-70 tracking to the east here. And I do have some additional cities included in this warning now. Edwardsville at 2:57. Basically, that storm is in Edwardsville right now. Collinsville at 3:02. You have less than 10 minutes until that storm gets to Collinsville. Continuing to track to the east here, Marine at 3:08. Highland at 3:15. And Burgess at 3:21. The storm is looking a bit messier now. Not as clear as what we were seeing earlier. Still, the National Weather Service has this warned as a PDS tornado warning, a particularly dangerous situation warning. They have now updated the potential hail size. So I told you that not only is this tornado going to be the biggest hazard here, a very dangerous hazard here, but also we have some large hail mixing in here, most likely up to the size of a golf ball or slightly larger. This was warned for tennis ball size hail earlier on. We're also getting some storm reports in from this storm. From University City, I bet that this is potential damage. Yes. Large tree thrown onto power lines. So now we've got power outages in this area as well. This is in Clayton, just near University City. Going back to this warning, I wonder if the National Weather Service will continue this any farther out to the east. They've got Edwardsville included in this warning right now, Highland, Collinsville, Glen Carbon, Granite City, Washington Park. All right, we just got a radar update, a scan update here. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because some people on the chat have been asking, where is this? We've been so zoomed in. They're asking, where is this at? So this is just to the north of St. Louis. Here's Missouri. Here's Illinois. We have an ongoing tornado warning right now, but you can see that we've got storms just scattered up the state line here. Severe thunderstorm warnings, however, they do not look significant. So it looks like we could see some moderate-sized hail from this to the north of St. Louis and then down to the south. Got another tornado warning. So this is important for St. Louis. All of you in the tornado warning right now, heads up, we've got another one down near Rolla. So this could come up your way, maybe on the south side of the city, but still this could be impacting this exact same area here in the next hour, okay? So after this risk is over, don't assume you're done for the day. Make sure that you keep your storm alerts on, whether you get that from your phone or your local news station. Make sure you keep those storm alerts on until this entire risk is over, because we still have storms back to the west, okay? Zooming back down into the warning now. Again, everyone, if you are included in this red polygon, that includes St. Louis, Granite City, Spanish Lake, Edwardsville, Collinsville, and especially anything out to the east where this storm is still tracking into, make sure that you are still in your safe space. Go to the innermost room of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Getting an update on this tornado warning here, we have now, and I told you it was getting messy. Whenever we see these storms getting messy, they're disorganized, they'll start to weaken, okay? And that's exactly what this storm has done. The new update from the National Weather Service is a tornado warning, not particularly dangerous situation, but still a tornado warned storm. This is weakening significantly here. Thankfully, going out of areas that are populated. So we're going into other areas that are not as populated as St. Louis. 1-inch size hail, about 250,000 still impacted by this tornado warning, including Caseyville, Collinsville, Edwardsville, and Granite City. Again, this is still a tornado warning. It's just not a PDS tornado warning anymore. And we've got a lot of questions on the chat right now, so why don't I get to some of those questions, put more of your questions in the chat, and we'll get to those. But I am going to take that live camera off of the screen now. Let's see if there's any other significant cameras for us to take a look at here. We've got a few backups across the city, so this area would be my biggest concern. And we may have some power outages, so we may not get anything from this camera. Actually, here, while we're here, let's just look at power outages real quick. Let's see, can you guys see the power outage map? You cannot. Let me switch over to the power outage map. There you go. Okay, so here are your Missouri power outages. We have significant power outages across Jefferson County right now. About 11,000 people out without power. If we go into St. Louis, we're talking about 33,000 without power. And is there anything else that's significant here? 33,000 without power is the most that I see here. So we're talking about 64,000 in all of Missouri without power right now. Alrighty. Let's go back to the radar. Let's go to some of your questions. This is a great question, and we had talked about it a little bit ago, but I appreciate this question. That our storms forming back to the southwest, and that's really important to know. Are we going to get storms in this area again? We have already gotten storms in St. Louis. Are we going to get a second round? So let's look back to the southwest, and I don't know how far southwest you want me to go here, but I'm going to stop in southern Missouri. So yes, storms are forming back to the southwest, or they've already formed and they're going to continue to track this way, right? So just south of St. Louis, you could have another round of storms, your second round for the day. Right along 55, most of us are going to get hit right along 55 here. So St. Louis, don't consider yourself in the clear quite yet. You could get another round, especially on the southern side of the city. What other questions do we have? Where was the largest hail reported? So we have some local storm reports in here. However, you have to take some of these with a grain of salt because it does not tell the entire story. It gives us a really good idea of where some of the largest hailstones are. However, think about it this way. We get those storm reports from people who see the storm in real time, in person, right? If there is a tornado on the ground in front of you, are you reporting hail? No, you're reporting that tornado, right? So oftentimes we see those hail reports go down as we have a tornado warning. But is it still hailing? Absolutely possible. And that's why our meteorologists, they track, they have an entire swath that goes all the way across to where we have the largest hailstones. However, I can tell you in this case where the largest hailstones were. We had talked about earlier, what did we talk about? Maryland Heights. Local storm report right here. Oh. Right along the highway here. 2-inch size hail in Harvester. I completely agree with this. I think this entire area from Maryland Heights all the way to Harvester and maybe even a little bit farther down to the south and east got some large hail. But we did get a 2-inch size hail report right here in Harvester right along the highway. We have another one. I don't think this is as large. No, it's a $50 size hail report here. And 60-mile-per-hour wind speeds. So not only do we have those larger hailstones, we'll call them moderately large, we also have some strong wind in there. As you go farther down to the south into places like Chesterfield, I think that the hailstones get smaller. So yeah, you go farther down to the south, you've got that quarter-size hail. I think that this one to the north of Orrville was also a quarter-size hail report. Oh no, we got golf balls. I was wrong. Weldon Spring, golf ball size hail. Alrighty, what other questions do we have? Again, we do have an ongoing tornado warning for Edwardsville, Collinsville, and just to the west of Highland. This goes until 3:15. One thing that is great for this tornado threat, right? We would love for that tornado threat to go down because we do not want any threat to life here. One thing that is really good for that, to see that tornado threat go down, is how clustered these storms are getting. They're all in each other's way, which gets really, really messy. If they're all in each other's way and they're very messy, they cannot organize to form a tornado or large hail. So you're going to see the hail threat go down in this area as well. You need these storms to be a little bit more isolated to get that large hail, to get that tornado threat. So, I mean, it's still possible, but oftentimes we see that threat go down. What other questions do we have here? Katie's saying, this is the worst spring I've ever seen. You know, we were just having this conversation on our live stream last night. St. Louis has gotten hit over and over and over. We started out this severe weather season with St. Louis getting hit, I think, pretty significantly 2 times, or at least the Springfield area, so maybe farther down to the southwest. And now we're seeing you guys get hit once again. Lots of questions about Evansville, Edwardsville. And then we have questions about Oklahoma City and Dallas as well. So give us just a minute to get out of St. Louis, and then what we'll do is we'll do a forecast and we'll show you the entire U.S. and what we're expecting in terms of that hail and tornado risk for the rest of the day, because this is just the very beginning of our storm risk today. We are going to be seeing this threat, this storm threat, for many, many hours to come. Alrighty, and I think I got most of those biggest questions out of the way. So what else are we seeing? Holy moly, tornado central down to the south. We've got another tornado warning down to the south of Rolla, south of 44, paralleling the highway there. We've got another one coming into 55, two tornado warnings moving into 55. Now, the southeastern side of Missouri was an area that we picked for the largest hailstones today. So what are we seeing here? 2-inch size hail, all right. It's not bad. I think that we said 2.5 and larger, so we'll see if that verifies. We already have seen, and I think that this was a question coming from Eli. Eli asked about some of the largest hailstones. I don't know how far back this radar can go back. Not far enough. But what we did see just to the east of Springfield, right around this area, we saw a 4-inch size hailstone report. Holy moly, that's larger than the size of a softball. So we have seen those extremely large hailstones already today. Larger than the size of a softball. You know, it's softball season, but you never think in terms of storms, right? You think in terms of softball. Okay, what else do we have going on right now? If we go farther out to the east, we can go into Virginia here, and this is where we also have some larger hail. Let's see, how large is this hail? Let's get the warning information. Oh, this is warned for wind, not for hail. 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds. One thing that we did know on our forecast earlier is that we targeted an area for hail, and then we had a high wind target as well. And what we were seeing is that the largest hail was expected to be right around these state lines, northern Arkansas into the southeastern portion of Missouri, northwestern Tennessee and Kentucky, and then the southern side of Illinois and Indiana. This area right here, I know that's a lot of states, I wish I could just circle it, was the target point for the largest hailstones. However, if you shifted a little bit to the east, Nashville to Cincinnati, all the way back to the Virginias, that was our high wind zone for today. So it looks like that is also seeming to verify. And looking around for any other storms going up right now, Dallas was another place that we were keeping an eye on storms. So you know what? Let's go to our future radar. And let's go through what we expect to happen over the next few hours here. I'm just checking our meteorologist chat and seeing if we have any new information. Alrighty, let's go to your future radar. I thought that's what my graphics system was pulling up. Here we go. Alrighty. Okay, so 12 o'clock, we saw those storms go up in southern Missouri and then St. Louis. This model nailed it. Got those storms on the west side of the city, brought them right through, tracking to the east, and nailed these storms that went through St. Louis. Now, what it wants to do now, and I want to back this up just a little bit. Let me do that here. When do storms form in Dallas? 5 o'clock. We start just to the northeast of Dallas, and then we see that unzip back down to the south. And can you guys see that? This may be too far down on the bottom of the screen. Yeah, you can see Dallas. Okay, good. So what we're going to see is this line of storms right here. They're kind of to the south of St. Louis right now. They're going to start to unzip back down to the south, just clipping the southeastern side of Oklahoma and going into the northern central portion of Texas. So we're talking about the DFW area here. I left it as a low risk for storms in Dallas today. However, it's still possible. If we can get these farther back to the south, I do think that they have a pretty good chance for producing up to golf ball size hail. And Dallas will surprise you. Oftentimes you'll say it's a low risk, and then they'll pull out just a massive hailer. So we are absolutely keeping an eye on DFW today as well. Moving forward here into the evening hours, so it's dinner time, Friday night. Do you have dinner plans? Make sure that you check the radar first, because we have storms anywhere from Illinois out to Kentucky, into Arkansas, and even into Texas. As we head into the late night hours, the sun has set. Tennessee and Kentucky are the next bullseyes for these storms. At this point, we are watching for that significant tornado risk. Now, we've had a tornado risk, and we're going to continue to see one all day long. However, it's going to be even more difficult, dangerous for these tornadoes into the late night hours. Not only are they forming in a line of storms here, very, very difficult to see, but it's also dark. It's very difficult to see those storms, so we get less spotter reports at the ground, and it's very hard to confirm those tornadoes as well. This is whenever we see storms switch from a hail risk to a wind risk. So right around sunset, we'll see storms a little bit farther to the east, really enhancing that wind risk with this line of storms. Here's a great example. Do you see this kind of bowing look right here? That backwards C shaped right here? That is a great signature of some high wind. So you'll see little pockets of that in these long lines of storms, these clusters of storms. That's what we're watching for tonight, is high wind up to 70 to 80 miles an hour and that tornado risk. So this will continue to track to the east as we head into Saturday morning, pushing that severe risk off to the east coast by Saturday. But we have another risk for storms on Saturday, not just the east coast, also down into Oklahoma and Texas. And let me pivot to a different graphic to show you the risk for tomorrow. One second. All right, perfect. Wait for this to load. Alrighty, there's your storms tonight. Multiple rounds possible for some of us. switching into more of a wind threat later on this evening into the overnight hours tonight, moving into Saturday. So here we are out on the East Coast on Saturday, but we also have storms down to the south on Saturday as well. I do think that for the most part, these will be pretty isolated, anywhere from the eastern central portion of Oklahoma to the eastern side of Texas. Mainly through the afternoon and evening hours, we're going to get a few of these storms. We've got a pretty significant tornado risk for Dallas and a large hail risk as well. So where exactly do we see those risks? Well, and what are the risks? Well, tomorrow I think the max forecasted hail size could be baseball size hail. Today we went softball and larger. Tomorrow we're going down a little bit. We're going into that baseball size hail category. Tornado risk here. We've got a low risk on the East Coast, but that main risk is down in Texas. So we're talking about a bullseye for Dallas for that tornado risk tomorrow. Highlighted here in yellow, it is a level 2 on a scale of 5. But we have that level 1 risk that stretches even as far south as Waco and all the way into Oklahoma, including the western side of Oklahoma, northwest, Woodward area, Oklahoma City, actually just most of the state here in that level 1 risk. Here's your future radar. Watching for isolated supercells. And I think, yes, let's go through your risks over the next few days. So the storm risks don't stop on Saturday. What we see is we see that hail risk on Saturday. We see that tornado risk as well. Large hail possible from Oklahoma City all the way out to the central portion of Arkansas and even down into Dallas. These hatched lines right here indicate large hail sizes. By Sunday, that risk shifts back to the east. And so what we see here is Kansas all the way into the central and western side of Oklahoma and northern Texas included in that large hail risk. The most likely storm zone here, Wichita, central Kansas. We're talking about Salina, Topeka, Wichita areas here. Kansas City, you're also included in that risk, but it's looking a little bit more impressive on Monday and Tuesday. It's just day after day after day of storms. I hope that you like seeing your meteorologist's face because you will see them a lot over the next few days in these states. Speaking of, give us a follow. We will be back on tracking those storms through the next few days. We have meteorologists staffed 24/7, so they are always mapping storms. And there's your forecast. Any other questions? Sending a few messages here. Let's go back to the radar. I know that we've been talking about future storms, but let's go back to the storms that we have right now. I'm reading your questions online, so I am, and I'm pretty good about responding to them as well. There's your radar. There's St. Louis. All of the large hail that went through St. Louis. We still have tornadoes down to the south in the southeastern side of Missouri, and then we have a significant severe thunderstorm warning that's heading up to the Effingham area. Other than that, I think that those are the main storms that we have going on right now. We're getting a lot of reports. Highway 55 was crazy. 1.5 inch hail, maybe a tornado. Yeah, thanks for the report, Justin. We appreciate it. If you have any pictures or videos, feel free to send them our way, and we hope that you're okay. That is the most important part. I hope that you were not out on 55 during that event. Jim saying, very impressive real-time storm coverage, considering you're not local. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. We cover the entire U.S. Dallas storms were not zoomed in. Please go back. I can do that. Let's go back. So, since we kind of do this on the fly here, you guys get to watch some behind the scenes. Whenever we make our graphics every single day, we make them. They're not automated. We don't automate anything. We make our graphics. So you guys get to watch me make this Dallas graphic very quick. It's not terribly difficult. But you guys get to kind of watch the behind the scenes action here. Any other cities before I jump off of this graphic that people have been watching from? We had an Oklahoma City question earlier, so I'll zoom into Oklahoma City. And I know that we have some people out in western Oklahoma also watching us right now, so I will zoom in to this area as well. And we appreciate you guys watching and commenting. Let's take a look at that future radar. For Dallas to start, I hope that this is zoomed in enough. Some people really want it like completely zoomed in to only Dallas and Fort Worth, but I think it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. Okay, timeline for Dallas here. What time is it now? 3:20? Earlier today, I said that storms were going to be coming into Dallas right around the evening drive, and it looks like models still want to keep that timeline consistent. So it's 5 o'clock, you're headed home, Plano, you've got a storm. It's pretty isolated, but you've always got to watch for those southernmost storms. We call these tail end Charlies. These are oftentimes some of the most significant storms because you've got a very clear south wind. Good inflow can make for a very, very good storm. So we'll have to watch that Plano storm there. It does look like storms want to continue to stretch farther down to the south. We call this like a zipper, unzipping down to the south and right into Fort Worth and Dallas, tracking to the east by about 7:30. So I would give your timeline for DFW 5 to 8 p.m. Especially with the HRR model, the HRRR, that's the timeline that this model wants to give you. Let me just, I've got my computer in front of me. Let me just look at another model and see if other models are consistent with this timeline here. You know what? Let me just show you the NAM. So we've got two short-term models that most people favor. The HRR, the HRRR, and the NAM 3K. And I can pull up the NAM for you because the NAM wants to bring more storms in than what the HRR is bringing in. Okay. And let's just give a full forecast for the next, what is this, 36 hours? Like 70 hours here for Dallas. Let's just go right into DFW. This is the benefit of commenting. Whenever I'm like, tell me where you guys are watching from, you tell me a city and I'll go right into that city. All right, so let's compare the models here. This is the NAM. Oh, that's Saturday. Okay, today. Now the NAM wanted to bring in storms early on. It's 3:20 right now. The NAM says storms should already be firing. I don't see any storms in Dallas. Looks like they did not get this correct. No storms in Dallas. However, we do have some information from the National Weather Service. You guys are going to get a watch here pretty soon. Yes, severe thunderstorm watch, likely. Anyway, storms are expected to fire soon. Here's the NAM. There we go. Moving through Texas, moving through Dallas by the evening hours, by about 6 o'clock. Do we see any storms reforming? No. So you know what? I would go with the HRR. It looks like storms. The HRR has done a better job handling these storms today. They did a phenomenal, the HRR model did a great job for St. Louis storms. So I would go with the HRR. I would say your timeline is between about 5 and 8 o'clock, which is what we said earlier. Now let's see, what do we see for tomorrow? Storms maybe through the morning hours. I'm not terribly concerned about the severe risk through the morning hours. However, I would watch for your isolated storms coming in the afternoon and evening hours as well. By Sunday, light to moderate rain. And here, I can back this up. Did I go too fast? I feel like I went a little fast there. So the better chances for storms in Texas are going to be today and tomorrow. It looks like Sunday you have a lower risk, however, still some rain around your area, maybe in the morning and then again in the early afternoon. All right, well, I hope that helps our Texas friends out there who were asking about Dallas. And let me give you an update on storms in Dallas real quick, current storms, because I told you that storms should fire soon in this area. I was giving you a 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. timeline, and the National Weather Service has given us a little bit more information here. So they're saying that they are likely to issue a severe thunderstorm watch here pretty soon. They have an 80% chance of issuing that watch. So they're going to do it. What they're saying here is that they are expecting scattered severe storms likely later on this afternoon with large hail and locally damaging wind gusts for the most likely threats. The surface front has, I'm not going to give you all this meteorology information here. I'll read it and I'll translate it for you. So we've got a front that extends from the northern portion of Texas into Fort Smith, Arkansas, with tons of unstable air to work with. However, daytime heating should initiate some of these storms over the next few hours, right along the boundary. Now, the environment is favorable for supercells producing very large hail. We talked about that. And high wind speeds over the next few hours. Most probable wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour, and most probable peak hail size, softball size hail. I didn't put softball size hail in Dallas today. The National Weather Service is going with it. That's something that we do a lot, where we say, hey, I was right on this forecast, or I was wrong, and we talk about it. We're very honest about how accurate we were. And I said, I think I said golf ball size hail in Dallas, but the National Weather Service is saying up to softball size hail. Some pretty large hail. And they said scattered severe thunderstorms, supercells are possible in Texas. Hunter Games saying, Carlinville just got hit hard by hail. You guys are testing my geography here. Carlinville, Illinois, southern Illinois. Let's check it out. Oh, yeah. Is it right over here? We do have a significant severe thunderstorm warning right here in Springfield, Illinois. This is warned for 2-inch size hailstones. Springfield, however, we've got a local storm report. What do we have from this? Ping pong ball size hail near Camp Butler National Cemetery. That was reported at 3:20, about 10 minutes ago. Let's see. What other questions? We have one question about Cincinnati. Let's give a Cincinnati forecast. I'm gonna do one zoomed out and then we can zoom in a minute. I like to see, I know you guys love whenever we zoom right into the towns, but I like to see it zoomed out a little bit. I think it tells you a little bit more about what's going on if we can zoom out. Alrighty. Cincinnati. It's loading. All right, today it looks like these storms, I had Cincinnati storms coming in after sundown. Is that still what these models are saying? Yes, it looks like Connorsville is likely to get hit around 8 o'clock this evening. Cincinnati could continue to see storms as we head into the overnight hours tonight. So it could be a late night with you hearing thunder, rumbles of thunder, seeing strikes of lightning out your window into the overnight hours. Now I think that your biggest threat this evening is going to be that I think that your biggest threat this evening is going to be those strong winds and the potential for a tornado or two. So this area, and I really wish that we would have zoomed out a little bit more. Let's go back a little bit. Maybe right in here. This area is favorable to get storms up to the north of Cincinnati and then down into Kentucky. Yeah, bingo, right here. Right, like there, do you see that? How we expect storms to go just a little bit to the north, and then we've got a lot of storms down in Kentucky. Now, it looks like this model is trying to skirt storms around Cincinnati. However, if you shift this a little bit, just a few miles to the south, you'll have a direct hit. So we'll have to see. I think that your risk is low to moderate at best right now. However, you'll have to keep your storm alerts on as we head into the evening hours, because if these storms from the south move up to you, you could get some high wind. But again, I think that your main threats here is going to be that strong wind gusts, about 75 miles an hour possible, and then isolated tornado risks. And again, that's through the late night hours tonight. It's dark, the sun goes down. That's whenever your storm risk goes up. And that'll continue as you head to bed tonight and even through the early morning hours tomorrow. Maybe a little bit of a late night in Cincinnati, but it looks like your severe risk clears by about 2 a.m. One person asking, any warnings for Wisconsin right now? I think that we are severe clear in Wisconsin. You guys don't have a risk today. I know yesterday you did. Actually, I stand corrected. We have 1, 2, 3 warnings out in Wisconsin. Not what I expected. I guess I should have checked first, right? All right, let's go look up in Wisconsin. One severe thunderstorm warning moving into Madison right now. We've got less than the size of a quarter-size hail, so we're talking about very small hail. What we call this is pocket change hail. So we're talking about penny, dimes, nickel-sized hail here, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. 300,000 people impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 4:15. We've got another 45 minutes on this. Milwaukee, just on the west side of Milwaukee, included in another warning here. Again, pocket change hail, smaller than the size of a quarter, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts in this area as well. And Manitowoc, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Newton and Two Rivers also included in a severe thunderstorm warning, quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So for the most part, our severe risk out in Wisconsin is going to be that marginal risk. And we can go back to those different types of risks that we have. Remember what we talked about earlier. If you were not here, let's do a little recap. We have different types of severe thunderstorm categories. We have that base category. That's what's going on in Wisconsin right now. We're talking about marginally severe strong winds, about 58, 60 miles an hour, and quarter-size hail, maybe even smaller. You need just one of these for a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's your marginally severe thunderstorm warning, your garden variety, something that could pop up any day of the year. Now, whenever you get into that considerable category, that's whenever considerable damage to property is possible. That's whenever we talk about high winds up to 70 miles an hour, golf ball size hail. That's going to do considerable damage according to the National Weather Service. And then we can go one step further and get that destructive tag on a severe thunderstorm warning. And what that means is we've got either baseball size hail and or 80-mile-per-hour wind gust, which this is what they consider a threat to human life. So often a destructive severe thunderstorm warning will trigger a WIA, which is on your cell phone. That is the Amber Alert noise. It's a wireless emergency alert. And what that is that loud noise that gives you information about the current situation. So it'll say either tornado warning or destructive severe thunderstorm warning. So what we're looking at for Wisconsin is that base severe thunderstorm warning. It's impactful, it's important to know about. If you head farther down into the south, into places like southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, northern Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, we're looking more in this category where we could see large hail and high winds. So either one of these possible over the next few hours. But the farther north that you go, the more likely you are to see those smaller hail sizes. And I've got your hail model right in front of me. You want to see it? Here's your hail model. What we're looking for here is we're looking for those darker colors, your oranges, your reds, maybe even seeing some pink in here. Often what we say is your oranges are going to be pretty solid golf ball size hail. It's a pretty good chance if you can get some dark orange on the map, golf ball size hail. So that's why I put golf balls down in Dallas today. You get those reds on there, you're talking tennis, baseball size hail, and then you start to see these pinks slip in here, and that means that we're talking softball size hail. So what we have throughout the rest of the evening are those significant risks for large hail, like extremely large, like softball size hail, just hugging these state lines right here, anywhere between the southeastern side of Missouri, northern side of Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, southern Illinois, and Indiana. After sundown, that severe risk goes down for hail, but increases for wind. So lower hail risk, higher wind risk, still have that tornado risk on the board. Tomorrow we focus further down into Texas and Oklahoma for large hail, and we have a tornado risk down in this area as well. And there you go, there's your storm risk. Any other questions right now? I think those are all of the questions that I can see right now. However, what I'm going to do, because I still see that we have a lot of people watching on X primarily, Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to stick the radar up here and you're going to see our radar loop. If anything significant happens, I'll jump back on and I'll let you know exactly what's happening. Just like how we covered St. Louis earlier, we'll give you updates periodically throughout the evening, especially for those big cities. So let's pull up the radar. And as always, if you guys have any questions, you can stick that in the chat. I'm pretty good about getting back to your questions whenever I see them. There you go, there's that radar. And so we'll just play the radar loop and we'll see if we see anything else significant for the rest of the evening. I do expect something significant as we go throughout the next few hours. Right now, the first thing that pops out to me, Paducah, Kentucky. On the path for that tornado warning here. Let me stand out of the way here. Got a tornado warning right now. What did I tell you guys earlier about the southernmost storm? Got to watch out for that one. Going into Benton right now, right along I-55, and then eventually moving into Paducah. So we'll have to watch out for that. I saw a comment earlier saying, poor Paducah, you're getting hit again. And it seemed like that was a pretty accurate comment because Paducah is in the path of this tornado warning. Eventually, not right now, it's not warned, but it does look like it's taking that track. Alrighty, so I'm going to leave this radar loop up here so that you guys can see it because I see a lot of people still on the live stream. And I will give you updates here within the next few hours. Until then, thank you for joining us on this Friday evening. We will be tracking storms this entire weekend. So make sure that you give us a follow. Put your alerts on for whenever we post because we'll be posting about storms, any significant pictures that we find, and any significant storms. We've got lots of information on our social media sites about them. Alrighty, we will see you guys here in just a few minutes.